Hello, everyone. Good morning or good evening.
Good morning, Loksa.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. Yep. So, shall we? So, I'm starting my instance now. And let's get connected. So, how things are going on? Did you get a chance to practice our today's topics? Like we were discussing about the user management and the file access management.
Yes, sir.
Before we move on to the next topic, do you guys have any question on yesterday's session? Like,
No, Loksa.
okay. So, how do you find Linux? It's easy, interesting, or boring?
That's interesting.
Yes, Linux is one of the very interesting, operating system to work with actually, right? It is just like a small drop of what we are learning in the overall Linux. Okay, we have a lot of things. If you are working as a Linux administrator, then the way of my handling will be completely different. Okay, but we are learning Linux on DevOps perspective. So we are just doing the activities that are relevant to DevOps resource or DevOps team, right? So with this knowledge, definitely you can able to, independently work on your DevOps platform if you are managing your Linux servers. Because the main agenda for learning Linux is in real-time environment, it is a responsibility of any DevOps resource to manage their own DevOps resources, like DevOps servers, I mean. So for example, if you're talking about Jenkins servers or build servers with Docker and Kubernetes clusters and your Ansible, Terraform. So we are responsible to manage all those things. And not only that, tomorrow, if your application team is looking for some test environments, if you are responsible to dynamically create those test environments with the infra team support, we need to know about all these activities, like how to create the Linux server and how we can able to install the packages, how to give access to the users, right? So yesterday I have created a DevOps admin user, correct? So it means I have a server. In that server, I'm going to perform some activities. And that activities are related to DevOps team. So I just have a DevOps admin. Apart from there'll be a root user or system administrator. That is different story. But all my DevOps activities should be done only using this DevOps admin user. I won't allow any other. Let's say I have installed Docker in that machine. Okay, I have installed Docker in this machine. So who can access Docker means only DevOps admin user can access Docker. Ubuntu user or even the root user, I don't want allow them to access Docker. Similarly, consider I installed Kubernetes. I want to use Kubernetes to perform all sort of deployments. So as a DevOps admin user only, I can able to perform it, right? So this is how we are just trying to channelize our activities. It is not like anyone who have access to the server can access Kubernetes. It's not like that. So within that server, to access any specific tool, we'll be allocating some set of resources here. Hope you're clear with that. So yesterday we were able to work on some file operations. All these things are closely related to our application builds and deployments. And also we have seen the various attributes that defines the properties of that file and access, right? And also we have discussed about various list of resources, like we have talked about the user, group user, or the public user, general public user. Based upon their level or role, we'll be defining the access, right? And then when it comes to your file management, access management, so we were using that chmod calculator to quickly understand the various possible values we can assign for file access level. And also we were discussing about the user creation, like how to create a user in Linux environment, especially in Ubuntu machines, right? Because in Ubuntu machine, right, we have a option to customize the directories while we create. In normal CentOS or any other platform, even if you consider the previous version of Ubuntu, right? Currently, we're using 20.04 version. The previous version of Ubuntu, if you simply use user add command, it will automatically create a directory by default. So here, while you are creating the user itself, you have an option to customize the home directory. That is what the main advantage here for passing all these parameters, right? And once you have the user, we are going to enable the user authentication. For that, either we can create a password or we can able to create the key pair. So key pair is considered as the secured way of connection establishment. So any Linux user who are working on the remote servers or with multiple users, they should know how to create the key pair and understand the properties of these components, right? And also the importance of authorized keys. So always the authorized keys are used to compare it with the private key. We never compare the private key and public key for verification. Correct. During the login process, the private key, whatever you are supplying, it will be compared with the authorized keys only. And that authorized key should be secured. Easy. So now we'll continue with few more things related to user management. And then we'll get into the remote server handling, how to interact with multiple servers, how to access one server to another server, or how to normally, when we talk about the deployments, we'll be transferring data from one file to another file, right? Sorry, one system to another system. So how we can able to establish a secure connection to the remote server and how we can transfer the file from one server to another server. We'll see that, and then we'll be getting into our fundamentals of shell scripting, right? So any question before I move on to the topic? Mhm.
Okay.
All good?
Yeah.
And people who have joined recently, are you guys able to access the notes and able to understand? Started the preparation or like?
Yeah, looks like, yeah.
All right, perfect. So I think we are good to proceed now. Fine. So yesterday I was talking about some of the user ID creation, right? So we have a few more things to consider, okay, related to the user things. Like consider I have created the user, okay? We have created a user. Okay. So once you create the user, I told you the user group also will be created, right? Okay. Whenever we create any user, the user group can be created automatically. And a user can be part of more than one group also. Many groups, it is possible. Let's say I am a developer. Okay, I'm a developer. And by default, I'll be part of a developer group. And I can be part of release management group or testing group also. Correct? So to categorize the list of users, we can have some groups and we can able to add any number of users to the group. It is possible. And once a user is created, we can able to delete that user also. Let's say if that user is no longer exist, we can simply delete that user. So all these things are, something comes under your user management. And also you should know how to get the list of users and list of user, or I can simply say like list of groups. All these things are cataloged in our system components, like under etc directory. So if I log into my system here, so I said this is the root directory, right? CD/ will take you to the root directory and CD tilt will take you to the home directory of that user. So let's go to the root directory of the system first. And in this root directory, if I say ls, I'm able to see all the system components, all the system directories. Okay. And out of this, you can see something called etc. etc is a directory that maintains the system components, like all the system softwares, whatever we installed, all the packages, user profiles, plugins, external server details, everything will be maintained in this etc directory. So if you navigate to this path here, so cd to etc, see, there are a huge list of components present in this directory. So this directory acts as a single point of source to the Linux machine. Got it? All the user profiles, the tools, packages, job scheduling, okay, batch job, cron tab, everything will be defined in this directory. So it acts as a single point of source of information. It is same as like how we use our Windows machine, right? In Windows machine, under C drive, there is a program files folder, remember? Correct? Under C drive, you can find a program files folder. There you can able to find all the software and user and other no components required for your system to be enabled, right? Similarly, in Linux machine, we consider /etc as a directory. And by default, it is completely owned and manageable only by the root user. See, these components, whatever you're seeing here, it's all completely owned by the root user. So even as a DevOps admin user will not have access to this by default. If you want, you can give some additional privileges using chmod and access it. But we never encourage that because this is something based upon your system components. Clear? So now the point is, if you get into this directory here, we have a lot of components. Like yesterday I was using some password, right? So there is a command here, passwd. It's a file actually. Okay, so if I simply say cat passwd, I can able to see the list of users created in this machine. So if you want to get the list of users, you can use this command. Cat passwd. So before you get into this, use the command cd/etc. And under that, you can able to execute a command cat passwd. So now we can see the root user, daemon user, bin, sysync, lot of system components are available, and each and every components and services are having its own user ID or profile to access it. So yesterday we have created a dummy user one and DevOps admin user, right? And then the Ubuntu user, which was by default, right? So this is the user ID and this is the user profile and the home directory of the user and access to terminal. This DevOps and user is having access to bash terminal, enabled bash terminal, and this user is enabled with shell terminal by default, right? So like this, we can able to get the list of Linux users using this passwd file. Similarly, there is something called groups. Okay. So if you execute a command cat followed by the group command, it will get you the list of groups that are created in your machine, user groups, you can say. Like for DevOps admin, we have a DevOps admin group. And for dummy user one, we have dummy user one group. For Ubuntu, we have Ubuntu user group. Like this, each and every user and the services will be having its own tool. Got it? For example, tomorrow, if you install any service, hope you remember the difference between service and the tool, right? What is the difference here? When you talk about a package can be executed as a service or it can be simply executed as a tool. Remember, that's what we have discussed in our very first package management concepts, right? Yes, no, remember?
Yes.
So there are some components, some packages that can be installed and executed as a tool, or there are some components that can be installed and executed as a service. So when we talk about JDK, Git, all those things are executed as a tool, right? But when you talk about the Tomcat server or Nginx server or a Docker, all these things are executed as a service. So any service we create, right, that service will be having its own service ID and the service group. Correct? So if you want to access the service, let's say as a DevOps admin user, if I want to access that service, then this DevOps admin user should be part of that service group, right? Then only they can able to get access to that. And you can able to get the group details by using this command cat followed by that group name. You see? Now, I'll give you one example. In this server, let me close all of the tabs. Okay. So in this server, as a root user, if I use a command docker version, I don't have Docker installed in this machine. So Docker is one of the containerization tool used to create some container applications. So like if you want to package your applications for further deployments, we can use Docker. And while discussing about the DevOps stage itself, I told you about the tool, right? So consider I want to install Docker in this machine as a root user. I'm giving one small example, okay? So if I say Docker apt update, let me update the packages first because it's almost a week, right? We have prepared this server. This server is completely, managed by the service provider. So periodically they'll be giving you some updating some security patches, all those stuff. So if you want to keep your server up to date, just execute a command apt update once in a while, and then we can install Docker. So for the installation of Docker, we can use apt install docker.io -y. So this is the command to install Docker. Listen, please. So I'm going to install Docker using this command on this machine, and it is getting installed now. And you can see this is creating one service, Docker service. That's what you should understand. A package, if it is going to be executed as a service, means it automatically creates one service component, and that service will be up and running on your machine. Now, upon installing Docker, you can use Docker version command. So this is what I told you, right? Whenever you install any package, just use a version command to check the version of the package. So now I am able to access it. So Docker is a CLI command and utility to execute any Docker commands. Like this, there are a lot of Docker commands available. Like we can use it. If you want to get the list of Docker containers, we can use Docker PS command. Docker PS means it is used to get the list of containers. As of now, there is no containers in our machine because we just installed it. So the list is empty, but at least the command is getting executed, right? So here the point is, when you install any software, if it is getting executed as a service, you can able to use that service as a root user. As a root user, I'm able to access the service. I can able to interact with the service. Clear? Now, let me log into this machine as a DevOps admin user. Yesterday, we have created the user ID, correct? Remember, we have created the user ID. Now, as a DevOps admin user, I want to work with Docker service. So the same command, like Docker, I want to get the list of containers. If I say Docker PS, see what it says? It says permission denied. So the service which was installed and executed by the root user, it is completely owned by that user, right? And now as a DevOps admin, I want to access that service, but it says permission denied. So how we can able to fix this issue? What are the methods, or what we can able to do with this now? Yesterday, while working with the file management, how you gave access to the file?
With host name and private key
Private key.
authorization.
Authorization.
So CMODs we can give access to file.
chmod.
Chmod using chmod you can give access to this particular Docker services actually.
That is the point here. So yesterday we were using the chmod command to give access, right? But it is meant for the files actually, files or directories. I can able to change the access mode of my file or the directory. It is not meant for any service or not for any package that is running. So you cannot use chmod for that, because we are not going to give access to the Docker file. We are going to give access to the Docker service. So that makes it. That's what I just wanted to make it very clear here. So chmod is something used to give access to the files or the directories to any specific user, not for services. Then how we can able to give access to this Docker service?
Creating password.
No, listen please. Now let me exit from this DevOps admin user and run a command cat group /etc group. So I just want to get the list of groups that are created in this machine, and you can see it has created one group called Docker group. We have installed Docker. Since Docker is a service, we can able to see the Docker service group is automatically created. Now, as a DevOps admin user, if I want to work in Docker, means I should be part of this Docker group. Simple as that. Easy. So all that we should do here is we should use a command called usermod command, not chmod. It is usermod. Usermod -ag add group followed by the group name and the username. So if I run this command as a root user, usermod add group -ag means add group. The name of the group is Docker, and I want to add DevOps admin user to this Docker group. If I execute this command, and now if I get the list of groups, you can see this DevOps admin user is added to this group now. Correct? DevOps admin user has been added to. Earlier, the Docker group was not having any user associated. It is having just the group ID. And now it is just added with the user. Now let me log into DevOps admin, su-DevOps admin. And if I say Docker PS to get the list of containers, I should be able to access it. Understood? Hope you are clear with this, right? This also comes under the user management. Any user who wants to access a service, like tomorrow you'll be using your Jenkins service or a Tomcat service or a, Nginx service or whatever the service that runs on your machine, right? If you want to give access to that service, you can simply add that user to the service group using usermod command. Simple. Any question on this?
For any service, the
It's-
command will be same.
Yes, just give the service name and the user
And
ID.
if I want to install this same thing in DevOps admin, is it possible?
DevOps admin will not have any access by default, right? For in package management. The package management in Linux machine should be done only as a root user. We never allow any individual user to install any packages. It should be elevated to root level. Correct?
So same process will be repeated for everything. No, we will install as a root user. After that, we will access through this.
That is what the access
command.
control, right?
Okay.
That is how your Linux is secured, no? Like you can have hundreds of users. If I give access to all 100 users to install the package, then how I can control the package management, right?
Right, right.
So that is a path, a secured way to manage the packages. If I give access to any individual user, consider I have DevOps admin user 1 and user 2. User 1 has installed some packages. User 2 can able to uninstall it, right? If you give such privileges. So the installation and uninstallation can be, or package management in general should be done by one root user. That's it. That is what the admin level access. Easy. Hope things are clear to all. It's very simple. When it comes to the user management, we should know what level of access they want to have, whether they want to access a file, right, for reading or writing or editing, or whether they want to use a service. If you want to give access to any service, just add that user to the user group or a service group. Simple as that. Easy.
Sai, whenever we are installing any service, a group is created. I'm
Mhm.
asking for whenever you install a tool, even for that, a group is created.
No, for tools, it is not like that. It depends upon the configuration or how the tool is defined. Okay, so it is not meant for tool, but service matters because service only, right, acquires its own process ID and other parameters, right? So for service level, definitely the group will be created
Okay.
whenever you enable any package as a service. All right.
Yes, yes.
Fine. So like this, we can able to assign privileges. We can able to give access to the concerned users Everything is possible. And like this, once a user is created, okay, if you want to delete any Linux user, okay, there is a command called same, the PSWD command. So this one, PASSWD -D followed by the user ID. If you run this command, that user, whatever we mentioned here, it gets deleted. As well as the password also. Consider I have a user. Yesterday I was talking about that user, right? Like we can able to create one DevOps user. And at any point of time, if the user forget the password and if you want to reset the password, we can use the command password followed by the user ID. Or sometimes if you don't want to use that, we can simply remove it. Okay, we can simply remove the password by using password -D followed by the user ID. So let's say there are two ways of enabling authentication. One is the password-based authentication. Another thing is key-based authentication. Assume that this DevOps admin user, now this DevOps admin user is enabled with the password as well as the key, right? Yesterday we have created password as well as key for this user. So if you want to disable this password for the particular user, I don't want the user to use the password anymore. In the case, you can use a command PSSWD -D username. That password will get deleted. Easy. Similarly, if I want to delete or disable the key, the SS key is whatever we created. It's very simple. Just go to that user's home directory and you can find the .ssh, right? Just remove that folder, rm-rf followed by that folder name. If you execute this command, the entire folder along with its public key, private key and authorized key, everything will be removed. So this is how we can able to delete or remove the SSH key access. So as a DevOps admin user, so you just log into DevOps admin user first and then run this command. So this is to delete the key pair. Easy. Any question on these two things? It happens very frequently. It happens. Okay. Sometimes the key might get compromised or you might be misplaced. In such situations, we can delete and recreate. Okay. So these are things we need to consider when it comes to your user level access management. So hope you're clear with this, right? Like how to get the list of users, list of user groups. All right, it's easier once you start using it, right? That's what I'm telling you, like initially working with your Linux commands might get somewhat, new things because we are habituated to use our mouse click events to perform all the major activities, right? We never rely on these command line utilities. But now once you start utilizing it, it will be more interesting. And even in Windows also, this is what happens. When now you create a user in Windows machine, behind the process, there is a PowerShell commands will get executed like this. In Windows, we use a PowerShell scripts, right? Now, another interesting thing here is once a user is created, okay, and how we can able to maintain the user. In any real-time environment, will be maintaining the user profile. We have something called user profile. So that user profile is used to maintain the complete information about the user. And it is not like a technical part. I just want to give you some best practices. So the best practice here is the password or the key, right? Should be renewed periodically. Don't keep your password as a static password. At least once in 3 months, renew it. Similarly, the key pair, whatever we have prepared for that particular user profile, don't keep it as a constant value for a lifetime. The private key and public key, you should periodically renew it. Like once in 3 months, you can change it. Similarly, you can able to create the SSH keys dynamically. This is also considered the most secured way of handling the user. For example, consider I want to log into my machine. We just logged into our EC2 instance, right? How I log into this machine? I use the username and the corresponding key pair is available in my local machine, right? I'm using the same key for all my VMs. This key is considered a static key that is created and stored in one file system. But in any critical production level servers, right, we never encourage anyone to save this file. We never save this file in any individual user machine, because if that key is compromised, we'll be losing the entire security of the particular server. Anyone can able to misuse the key. So for some critical servers like your database servers or any user database servers or application components, right? Secrets, for all those servers, we never create the key and save it as a static file. We create it dynamically. Just before you log in, create a key, use that key to log in, and once the login is successful, that key will be deleted immediately. Like this, whenever we log in, we dynamically create a key and log into that system. Like that also we can able to secure these things in our production level implementation. So there's a few things you can consider, because during interview, you might be asked about this. How you manage the security, server security, user security, and all, means you can talk about all these pointers. Easy?
So
Any
Sai,
question?
manually we have to do this, like every time you have to create the key and every time you have to
That is
delete
what
the
the
key.
logic, right? That is what the logic, right? We write
Okay.
some scripts for that.
Okay.
Okay, we write some script. That is what the core system administrators, the infrastructure management team is going to do. So we have to prepare a shell script or Python based scripts that can automatically create the key pair. For example, here if you're using AWS, means there is a separate entity called key pairs here. So what are all the key pairs we have created, right? It's all cataloged here actually, right? So I can use my AWS CLI commands in my shell scripts or in my Python scripts to automate this key definitions at runtime. And it is not that easy to create this, okay? It's all purely depends upon your company's security policy. We have to get the guidance and the inputs from the IT security team. Based upon their recommendations only, will be defining the key. Let's say in my case, I have used a keygen command of this type ECDSA. ECDSA is a protocol or an algorithm, security algorithm, through which we can create the key pair. Like that, we have something called RSA algorithm also. So which encryption algorithm is used to create the key pair? And what is the size of the key pair? Here I use just 521 bytes. Because it is just my dummy server, I can use it. But at enterprise level, it can be more than that. It can be 1024 bytes or 2048 bytes. Like that, we can able to maintain the size of how much you are increasing size of the key pair, private key, that much it is difficult to crack it. Correct? So depends upon your encryption protocol, algorithm, and the size, the key can be considered a more secure key. Easy. Am I clear? Guys, hope
Clear,
all
sir.
listening, right?
Yes, sir.
Clear, sir.
Okay. So these are all things you need to consider when it comes to your user management, okay, and their access level. So if you're clear with this, then we'll move on to the next level. That is something related to the remote server handling, how we can able to handle remote servers. Okay. So what is the need for handling a remote server? And here also we'll be discussing about the access management. Okay. What is the purpose of using this remote server handling means? In real-time environment, whenever we talk about any server, any target server, or the architecture. Okay. So it is purely based upon the client server architecture. Okay. Any server architecture or any target server you consider, it will be based upon the client and the server. It means we are not going to work on any independent server in future. Like if I am a developer, I'll be having my own machine. This is my local machine, which I have. If I want to work with any packages, like consider I want to work on Jenkins means I have to establish a connection to the Jenkins server. Right? So from my local machine, I can connect to my remote Jenkins server. And this Jenkins server itself, if you consider, it is based upon the client server architecture. So here Jenkins can be considered as a server, or it is also called as a master node, and which can have some client machines. This is Jenkins client 1 and this is Jenkins client 2. So now if you consider this architecture, this is my local user machine. As a user, I just log into this machine, like how I use my desktop machine here, right? And from this machine, I can able to connect to the remote server called Jenkins master node. So how I can connect means by using the remote connection using SSH. Using secure shell connection, we are going to establish a connection to Jenkins server. And how the Jenkins server can communicate with its client means that is also done through your SSH. Correct. And not only that, as a user, I can able to directly interact with the client server also. Right? Here also we'll be using SSH. So the communication can be from anywhere, right? So in such situations, how we are going to create the server, how we are going to create the client machine, and how we are going to integrate the client and server machine, right? Upon integration, how we are going to securely connect to that machines. All these things has to be clearly implemented before you actually start your work. This is what we call it as infrastructure readiness. Infrastructure readiness. So before the user start their work or implementation, so as the infra team, they have to prepare this infrastructure. Only then we can able to create some Jenkins projects and start working on it. It is just not for Jenkins. Even if you take any process, like if you're talking about Ansible, Ansible also based upon your client and the master nodes. Similarly, if you consider any monitoring tools like Prometheus, Grafana, all these things are based upon your master and target server configuration. Your Kubernetes, right? Docker, build, environment, everything works on the same process. This is one scenario. Consider this another scenario. Listen carefully. Consider my infrastructure. I have a dev environment. I have a test environment. And then the production environment. So whenever we talk about the environment, after all, it's all the virtual machines which we create in a cloud platform. So this is VM1, VM2, and VM3. Right. So now from this dev environment, I can able to prepare the source code, create the artifacts, right? It's possible, no? What is an artifact? What is an artifact actually?
jar file,
Binaries.
Sorry.
like jar files and executable files.
Yes. So it's all the executables. Once your application build is completed, it creates the executable. It is not the source code. We cannot consider it as a program or a source code. It is the executable of your program. And once you have this in place, you can able to promote it to the target environment. The WAR file can be promoted to this one, right? Just a second, beyond, just a second. Yeah, sorry for that interruption. So we are discussing about the various environments. So consider in my dev environment, I have prepared a application artifacts. That is the WAR file. And once the WAR file is ready, we can promote that WAR file to the test environment for further testing. Similarly, the same WAR file can be promoted to the production environment for live implementation. Are you clear with this workflow? Right? This is what in our DevOps model we talked about continuous delivery or continuous deployment and all. Remember? So now each and every VM will be having its own tools configured, the user profile created, and if you want to establish connection between dev and test environment, here also we're going to use the same approach like using SSH, a secure shell connection we use. Similarly, a secure shell connection will be used here. Easy. So what does it mean? Everywhere I'm talking about the secure shell connection means how that connection is established. What are the prerequisites for that? What are steps we have to follow? Okay, but before we actually try that, first, there should be an objective. There should be a use case. For this purpose only, I'm going to perform this task. So here in this case, my requirement is to copy the WAR file from my source server to the target server. Correct? Here, my requirement is to schedule some builds in the client's Jenkins client node. Like this, before you actually, try to create all the things, you should have a proper business justification, because in real-time environment, what all these servers we are talking about, right? All these servers are actually provisioned or created by the infra team. It is completely the responsibility of the infrastructure management team to create these servers based upon our requirement. So as a DevOps team, if you are looking for a Jenkins server, means you have to give a proper business justification. It should be approved. Then only the server will be provisioned. So first prepare the use case, understand the business requirement. If it is really required, then only you can go with this client machines. You see, because each and every VM is a paid service there in real-time environment. I'll talk about it tomorrow while working on Docker module. I'll talk about all these things in detail with some real-time scenarios, like how the infra team works, how they can able to save the cost of the infrastructure. Everything we'll see during the Docker module. But now you understood the agenda, right? Why we are going through this process. You got some real-time scenarios here, use cases. Any question? Hello, guys, I'm audible.
Yes.
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 It's clear to everyone, right? See, while learning, because these are all the core activities, okay? What are things we learned so far in Linux? It's all just a basic building blocks. But this is what your actual work in real time tomorrow. So you need to be very clear with the use case, where we are going to implement and for what purpose and how it is getting implemented. Easy. So as part of this particular module in Linux module, I'll take one small scenario and I'll demonstrate this activities. Based upon this same idea or the logic, we'll be working on all the future modules. Like tomorrow, while working on Jenkins module, again, we'll come to this topic. While working on Ansible, Kubernetes, Docker, everywhere we'll be working on the same concept. We'll be revisiting it. Easy? So shall we? Can you all able to understand or any confusions there?
Yeah, I able to understand both sides.
Yes.
Okay. So if you can able to understand the process, then we are good to proceed. With these two examples, I'll show you a demo, and we have a lot of examples coming up. Tomorrow, while setting up a Jenkins server, while setting up Ansible, I'll be talking about that more. You understood the requirement now, so we'll proceed with the next level now. So let's say, for example, consider I have a server. I'm going to launch one VM, and in this VM, I'm going to have a source file. Okay. And I have another VM, and my requirement is I want to copy the source file. The source file, it can be anything. It can be a WAR file or jar file, or it can be any flat file also. Correct? So copy. This is a target server. Okay. So my requirement is I want to copy the file from my source machine to my target machine through SSH. So usually what we do to copy the files, what is the command we used?
CP.
CP is the command that is used to copy the file from one directory to another directory, right? This is directory 1 and this is directory 2 in the same VM. Within the machine, if you want to copy a file from one directory to another directory, we can use CP. But my requirement here is I have another VM. The file, whatever you created here, that file has to be copied from VM1 to VM2. Correct. So here you cannot use a CP command. We can able to use a command called SCP, secure copy. The secure copy means it is based upon your secure shell. So I'll show you how to use this SCP command to copy the files. But directly you cannot execute this command. First, we have to enable the communication between these servers. And it should be done through SSH. Only then the server interaction can happen. And there are various methods to enable the communication. I'm going to give you a common method. While we progress, like in Jenkins module and other upcoming modules, we'll see how to work with other methods and all. You see? Now, let me give you the steps first. What are all steps we are going to follow? First, I'll get you the list of steps, and then I'll demonstrate it one by one. So what I'm going to do here is, first we are going to launch a VM, and in that VM we're going to maintain our source file. And then I'll be launching another VM. I want to consider that VM as a target server. We are going to log into both the servers, and then we'll be accessing that server. Access means not just about accessing your files. It can be for any package management also we can do. Okay. So let me put this way. Okay. So you can follow these steps. Okay. The steps, whatever required, you can able to follow this one. So I'm going to demonstrate this only for the scenario. Listen carefully. So in our AWS Cloud Platform, we are going to launch 2 VMs. Already we have 1 VM up and running. So let's create one more VM. And I just want to consider that VM as a client machine or a target machine. So these are steps on a high level. Okay, so once the VMs are launched, we are going to establish a connection to the remote server, log into the remote server, and you can able to copy the file from one server to another server using SAP. Another use case, another scenario is, consider from my server, I want to install a package. For example, earlier I gave 2 scenarios. Now we can consider scenario 3. Let's say I have some number of users. This is user 1, user 2, and this is my server. So people who are working on a real-time environment and project, right? You'll be provided with your own laptop, correct? Your workstation. Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
And in all your machines, periodically, monthly, right, there'll be some security patch gets updated. Have you noticed?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it means your system administrator, your infra support team, they are connecting to your server through the remote access. And they're going to push some script into your server, right? The package which they want to execute in that machine, they're going to inject into a target server. So first they have to enable the secure connection to your server, and then they'll be copying that packages into your server, and it will run in that machine through their commands. So this is what tomorrow we're going to work on Ansible. So using Ansible, we can able to automate this configuration management. So for this purpose also, we can able to perform this activity. That's what. So manage the remote server. So from your server, you can able to install any packages in the target machines. Easy. So like this, we have a lot of use cases, okay, like a lot of scenarios. So please remember all these things. Tomorrow while working on Ansible module or Jenkins module, it will be very much helpful for you to easily understand the things. Now, how to work on it? What are all the prerequisites? Listen carefully. So the prerequisites to perform this activity is to launch 2 VMs and ensure that in both the machines, port 22 is enabled. Why? Because we are going to enable the SSH connection. So by the default port for SSH is port 22. And in both the machines, we have to create the user, Linux user. Because as a root user, I'm not going to communicate with the server. It will be done by the general or any specific user we have to create. And once the user is created, for that particular user in VM1, I'm going to create a key pair, SS key. And once a key is created in VM1, I can able to use that public key of that user and copy it into the target machine as authorized key. I repeat, assume that in VM1, I have created the user 1. For this particular user 1, we have created the key pair. Key pair means I'll be getting the private key and the public key, right? So using this key pair, sorry, if I want to communicate to this server means I'm going to use the public key of user 1 and create authorized key in the target machine. Once this is done, we can able to enable the SS connection and secure login to the machine. Once login is successful, you can able to perform any activity. It can be copying the file from VM1 to VM2 or installing any packages there. Anything is possible. Any questions on these steps? I'll be showing a demo of all these things, okay, one by one. But before that, please ensure that you are clear with this things.
So, Sai, from target server, you're copying the public key and copy pasting it to another server for which you want to establish connection.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So we are going to create one machine now, one more machine now, one more VM we're going to create now. Any other question? Any other question here?
No, no, sir. Impossible.
Okay. So if you're clear with this, then we are good to proceed. So already we have a server. I just want to consider this as my source server. Okay. I want to consider this as a source server, and I hope you already know how to create the key pair here, right? If you can see this directory, I have the key pair created, and also authorized key is also available here. Got it? So this authorized key is something used by this DevOps admin user to log in or access this machine. I'm not going to use this authorized key. But once I launch a new node, I want to use a public key of the DevOps user and have it there. So let me show you how it works. So what is the step we are given here? The very first step is to launch 2 VMs. Out of that, 1 VM is already available with us. So let me launch one more VM here. And that VM also can be of same Ubuntu type. Ubuntu 22.04 version, I can able to use it, no problem. Ubuntu 22.04 version. This is my target server, and T2 micro is sufficient for now. And we can use the same key pair which you already created. So don't create key pair for each and every node. Just create one, use it, and leave all the parameters default. When you launch your Linux-based machine, by default, it creates the security group with port 22. Okay, so these three parameters: name, AMI, instance type, and the key pair. And we're just going to launch one node. Let's launch it now. Okay. Now let's get into this node. So we have two nodes up and running. So if you can select this node here and go to the security group, you can see port 22 is already enabled, right? So there is a second prerequisite here. So after launching a node, ensure that we have port 22 enabled. And now we are going to create the user in both the machines. Already we have created the user in server machine. Now let's log into our node 2. Take the public IP address of the node.
Sir, I have a doubt. So if we want to enable port 22 manually, what is the procedure?
I told you, right? Like in a very first day while launching a node itself, just go to the security group of that node. There's a security group associated to that, right?
Yeah.
Just select this. And here you can find inbound rule, edit inbound rule. Got it?
Okay.
Click on edit inbound rule and click on add rule. Already this SSH has been added here. 22 is
Okay.
enabled, right? So like this, we can able to add some custom port numbers. Like if you want to add port 8080, set this area block and save it.
Okay.
Like this, we can able to add any number of ports to your node. So
Oh.
these inbound rules are used to define the incoming traffic. So I have a VM through port 22 only. I'm able to access the VM now.
Yes.
Or through port 8080 only I can able to access. Apart from these two ports, I cannot access the machine by any chance. Easy.
Yeah, got it.
So now let's log into our node 2, that is your target server, and create the user profile. Take the public IP address of your node 2, that is the target server, and go to your mobile XTerm, session settings, click on SSH, enter the remote host name, that is your public IP address of a machine, Ubuntu, and choose the private key. So elevate your access to root level first, and then you can update the default packages.
Hi, Sai. I have one doubt.
Yeah.
Also, we can perform this activity on the cross
Possible,
versions as well, correct?
possible, it's
Like two
possible.
different. Okay.
The target can be anything.
Okay.
So now this is my target server, source and target. So in my target server, we just logged in, and let's create the user, because that is the next step, right? So create the user and then create the SS key in one server, that is in VM1. In VM1 already we have created the SS key pair. I'm going to reuse the same. And once the key is created, we're going to copy the public key of that VM1 user to the target machine, right? So now let's create one user in VM2. So for the creation of user, what is the command we use? What is the command we use in target machine to create the user?
Add user.
User add.
Yes, user add command. User add followed by the user ID, and user ID can be anything as per your choice, right? So this is what you can follow these steps. In the client machine, use the command user add, and let's create one user called admin user1 with the bash terminal enablement and the default home directory. And then log into that user and create one .ssh folder. Okay. And then just simply create one authorized key file. Once key file is created, you have to copy the public key of DevOps on user from server 1 to this authorized key file. And ensure that that folder is completely secured. So let's try this now. On this target node, let's create one admin user and log into that user now. And in this user, if you can see, there is no keys or secure SSH folders not present. So let's create one folder manually. mkdir.sh. This folder name should be prefixed with dot. Why? Because it should be an hidden folder. Only then it is considered as a key. Right? See ls command, it is not showing it. If I say ls-a, I should be able to see that. Now log into get into that folder. And here, this is completely empty. Let's create one file called authorized keys file. I just properly documented here. Okay, if you follow the document, it's very easy for you to implement. So use vi editor and create one authorized underscore keys file. Go to insert mode, press I to go to insert mode. And here what we're going to means, in this server, we have the public key. Correct? So I want to copy the public key of my DevOps admin user from VM1. Copy this, starting from the very first character. Copy everything. Don't copy any extra bytes like this. Okay, just copy exact number of bytes. Just select and then right click here to paste it. So we are just copied the public key of DevOps admin user from VM1 into the authorized key files of Ansible admin user in VM2. Escape :W to save the file. That's it. Now, if you can see here, this admin user 1 is having only one authorized key files under its SS folder, and that file can be accessed by any user in that machine. So what we should do next, we have to protect that file by using chmod command. Now it is safe. Easy. So now I want to consider this as my source server. From this server, I want to connect to this remote server. So how the connection established means by using the pre-configured authorized key files, which is present in this machine. Easy. Any question on these steps? Any question?
No.
I'm just demonstrating it step by step. Okay, I just want you people to understand how to implement it. Apart from there is another utility also, like SSH copy ID command also is there. But if I use a command, you won't understand all these things in detail. So behind the process, what exactly happens? That's what I'm demonstrating it here. And this is very much essential. Why? Because sometimes, if the user, this user Ansible admin user, okay, if they try to reset the keys, right? In that case, the entire folder will be changed. So in all such situations, we have to properly get into that folder and manage those key pairs. It's important. Right. Saran, what's the question? I'm not getting a question. Please unmute your line and speak. I'm not getting you. Like, are you there online? What's the question here?
Actually, I've joined under Azure DevOps course.
I'll
But
talk about it, Ma. I'll talk about it. Okay, just go with the flow.
okay,
Just we'll talk about. I saw your note. We'll
yeah,
discuss on that. I don't want to interrupt in between. So better we just go with the flow. We'll talk about it at the end.
yeah, sure.
All right, then. Let's come back. So these are the steps. Okay, what are things I summarized here as a high level steps we have executed. So with this,
Sir,
we have, yep.
Sir, can we work side by side as step by step as a practical session so that we can get some ideas, right? Because whenever you are explaining, we are just listening. Only if we are working on it, we will get some doubts, right?
That is what expected, no? Like I'm just
Yeah, I am here when I am working on it. The server is actually down, it seems. Amazon website, AWS server is. So you are going the next step. I am coming back and I am listening here, so that I cannot establish the connection here.
see the problem is I don't want any one of you to practice while I'm explaining.
Yeah, for that only I'm asking. If you have allocated one class for doing it practically, we can get some ideas.
No, that is not recommended actually. If you want to effectively learn, right, I'm giving you the proper explanation and I'm showing a demo of each and every step in detail, right? With this, you should able to understand, and during your offline hours after the session, you can able to practice. Okay, not while we are discussing or while during the live session. Because the real problem is, if I allow you people to practice, right, then it will be like a doubt clarification session. Everyone will be working on your own phase. See, now you're saying your connection is not secure, established, it is getting disconnected. Like this, there may be a lot of issues, right? So we will be spending a lot of time in fixing those issues. We won't have any progressive learning there. So please utilize this 2 hours of time to learn the things, understand things. If you're unable to understand, let me know, I can explain it again. Ensure that the 2 hours of session, you're learning and understanding it properly. With that understanding, if you can able to work, definitely you can able to make it successful. You have my class notes along with the class recordings, right? If you follow that, you can able to practice as per your convenient timing. You can practice any number of times. And while practicing, if you get any question, just make a note of it. On the next day, when you join, you can ask those questions. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Yes. Fine. So now we have prepared our infrastructure. So as per our requirement, we are trying to handle the remote server. So to handle that, we have prepared our infrastructure. Now both the servers are enabled with the key pair. It is working. It is just enabled. Now, what I'm going to do here is, from my source server, I'm going to establish a secure connection to my target server. How it is possible means, for that, we need 3 parameters. So usually for secure connection, what are the parameters we need? For SS connection, we need host name,
User credentials.
username,
Key
and
pair.
the credentials, right? So this credential is what we have already configured. The credentials are already pre-configured here. We already copied the public key of DevOps user and updated our target server. So we need the host name and username now. Just go to your target server, take the private IP address of target server. This is a private IP address, and this I want to consider as a host name. Right, of target server. Okay, the target or client both are same. Okay, don't get confused. I use somewhere client and somewhere target. Don't get confused. When I say target server, I mean client machine. Easy. And what is the username in the target server?
Admin.
Ubuntu.
No more like
DevOps admin.
no, we have created admin user one, right? DevOps admin is a user in the server source machine. In target machine, it is admin user one. Okay, the username that is configured in target server. Now credential just already copied. I can just iterate this step here. Okay, this one. So this is already configured in your machine. Easy. So if you understand these three parameters, tomorrow you can able to integrate any complex target server. Okay. Now, with these parameters, how we can able to work means it's very simple. You can able to use your SSH command. So this is the command. So from your server, execute this command as a DevOps user. So now this is my IP address. I can just use that IP address and Ansible, sorry, admin user one. Listen carefully. So I'm on source server. As a DevOps admin user, I'm going to run this command SSH admin user one followed by the private IP address of that target machine. So if I run this command, see what happened? The authenticity of the host machine cannot be established. The keys is not known by other names. So this is one of these special feature of your Linux, especially the SSH. In Linux environment, whenever you try to establish connection to any target Linux server, the target server should be considered as a known server to your source machine. So it is asking for confirmation. At this point of time, the target server, this source server is not having any clue about the target server. It is not having any clue about this target server, and it is asking for the manual confirmation. We don't have any details of the target server, whether you want to connect or not. Okay, so what you can say, just type yes. Correct. And enter. See now, as soon as I execute a command yes, what happened? It has connected to the remote server using the IP address which you passed here and Ansible admin. So what happened? The control comes to this particular server and it logged into this Ansible admin user one, and it was searching for the .sh folder for this authorized key file. And in this authorized key file, it should have the credential of this DevOps admin user. Right? So if the key pair matches, then the connection is established. See, now the control is within your target server. I can able to execute, I can able to work on anything from here now. Easy? Are you guys able to understand now how the process works. So this is a very basic Linux way of enabling the remote server access through SSH. If there is any mismatch in this key, your secure connection will not be successful here. See, as soon as I say yes, you can see it has permanently added the target server to the list of known host. Before that, it was saying it was not having any idea about its server, but now it has added to the known host list. So if it is available known host list, then after at any time you can able to quickly connect. Let me give exit command here. I just close the connection. Again, I can able to enable the connection. So during the connection enablement or establishment, it won't ask for any password or the key pair. Why? Because the key pairs are already pre-configured. Easy. Any question here? Any question? So this is just a process of connection establishment. We are completed till this level. Log into VM2. So if you relate it with a real-time scenario, consider I am an system administrator. One of my developers, they want to install some package on their machine. Okay. So what I can do, I cannot go to their desk and manually do the installation. So I can connect to their server. Assume this is the target server. From my local machine, I can able to establish a secure connection to that machine. And now I have full access to the machine now. As the Ansible admin user 1, I can able to execute any packages. It's possible, no? I can create any files here. Correct? This is the home directory of that user. If I want, I can able to create a file here. It's available, right? All these things I'm creating from my source machine, and here I'm able to see the access the file, right? So this is how in real time we can able to interact with any target server and make any sort of package execution or file creation. This is one simple way to handle it. So once the process completes, you can simply say exit, that will log out and disconnect. So if you want to quickly summarize this, our requirement is to enable the communication between two servers. So launch these two nodes, and once the nodes are ready, ensure that the node is enabled with port 22 and create the user in both the server. Like in node 1, we have created DevOps user. In node 2, we have created admin user 1. And create the SC key in one server. So for this DevOps user, I have created a key pair. And then I just copied the public key of that DevOps admin user into the target machine as the authorized key for that admin user 1 profile. Once this is done, we can able to securely establish a connection to the server. Till this we have completed now. Any question, please let me know.
Can we connect multiple source servers to target server?
Yes, you can make it, but it is always recommended to have some unique user profile references.
Okay, so do we need to update in the same authorized key file?
Yes, you can have it. It means it should be like a different user profile, right? We can have multiple users, no?
Yes.
I can't use one user to establish a connection or attach multiple sources, right? For what purpose you are handling it, how you're going to control the individual access, that matters, right? So every user will be having their own secure key. Use that one.
Okay.
Now, once your connection is established, let's come to a use case. Copy the file from VM1 to VM2. Assume that I have created one artifacts in my VM1. I just want to copy the artifacts to the target server. So in order to do that, we can use our SCP connection. Okay. So normally we have used a source file within a machine, and now we're going to update our target. So you can take this example. Okay. So if you want, I'll give you this example for you. Like if you want to copy the file from VM1 to VM2. In this server machine, VM1, under the DevOps admin user directory, create one source file. Okay. And that file you have to copy to the home directory of admin user 1. That's what the requirement. So usually we have used our CP command to copy the file from one folder to another folder within the machine, right? But if you want to copy to any external server, we use SCP. So SCP followed by the source file and the target file location. So if you consider this scenario here, SCP is going to identify my source file. The source file is in the home directory of DevOps admin user. And the target path, whatever I'm going to use is like any username, like it can be a test user, or in our case, it is admin user 1, right? Let me update that username. Okay. And then use the IP address of that target server.
Sorry, I have a doubt. You have to use only a private IP address for this target VM, or you can use public IP address also?
Public IP address also you can use, but the problem is, if you use public IP address, you cannot consider as a permanent IP address, right?
Okay.
It is not a static IP. It is a dynamically it gets generated.
Okay.
But public IP is a constant one.
Sure.
So for any real-time implementation also tomorrow, if you want to enable the permanent connection, use the constant IP address. So here we're using private IP address, but in real-time environment, right, what we can do, we have a concept called elastic IPs.
Okay.
Create elastic IP, assign to the server, and use it as an external IP address.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So as I said, the source and target server can be anything. Okay. Like for example, in this case, we are using both as Ubuntu machine, right? The source machine and the target machine, it is of type Ubuntu, which we can able to communicate. Similarly, it can be anything. Consider I have another target machine. It can be your CentOS or RHEL or Amazon Linux, whatever it is, we can able to use. There's no problem. Got it? Fine. And the process is same. In any target machine, the process will be same. So now let's get into our server 1. I'm on this machine as a DevOps admin user. I'm going to create one source file. Something like this. Okay, this is a file which we have created in the server under the DevOps admin user. Now, I just want to copy this file to my target machine. So to copy the file to target machine, I can use SCP command. SCP followed by the source file name, which is present in this DevOps admin's home directory. And I want to copy this file to my target server. as a Ansible, sorry, admin user 1, I want to log into this target server and copy this file into the home directory of admin user 1. If you see this home directory of admin user 1, we have just one initial file which you have manually created, right? So if you run this command, you can see it has copied 100% to the target machine. You see? So this is the building blocks. Okay, this is the process behind your deployments. Tomorrow, if you want to deploy a package from one server to another server, you can able to use this method. Easy? Any question?
Sai, I mean, in that SCP command, admin user at IP and then home admin user only we have given, right? No need to give the file name.
File name is not mandatory here, right?
Okay.
We're just going to copy the entire source file into target machine. In target machine, it will be having the same file name.
Okay.
Sir, excuse
So
me.
it
We
is
are changing
always
password for the admin. What will happen?
which one?
For the target user, if we are changing the password, what will happen to the connection?
We are not enabling the password-based authentication here, right? Did we create any password for this Ansible user? We
No,
have
I am
various
asking if we
modes
are
of
creating any
execution.
password for the admin user one,
In
what
the
would
case,
happen?
the
Like,
connection itself will not be established. It will fail.
so we have to re-change the password, right? Re-confirm, configure the password, right?
Yes, we have to configure it again and execute this command. Clear?
Yeah.
That's it. Any other questions from others? Easy? So we have properly documented the process. So please go through the document once and execute it step by step. Definitely you can able to make it successful. Right. So just remove this process. Tomorrow while working in our Ansible module, we'll be reusing this. And also while working on Jenkins server also, we'll be using this. That's easy. That's it. That's all related to your remote server handling on DevOps perspective. Any other questions from anyone? Or you want to have a quick break or almost it's time up, right? Like 40 minutes, 20 minutes more. Are we good to proceed?
Sorry, I have another question. So, since it is both the missions are Ubuntu, for example, if one mission is different server, then that will also work with this command?
Yeah, see, we are not concerned about the distribution here. Okay,
Okay.
distribution, everything is comes under Linux, right? And this SSH protocol, the connection is common for any Linux Ubuntu or Linux-based distributions. It's not an issue.
Okay.
The process, everything remains same.
Okay. Thank you.
Easy? All good? Please give your confirmation so that we can confidently proceed further. I can see a lot of silent audience also there. So if you are unable to understand anything or if you have anything to ask, just utilize the time, please. Because every day the topics will be more intense, okay? Like we are going to learn many new things. So if you practice on daily basis, then only you can able to cope up with the upcoming sessions. All good?
Good from my side.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
We are using the protocol like SSH, right?
Yes.
In the both cases, want to use the SSH, or else we can able to change the protocols also.
No, we'll be using the same in both the
Same.
sites. But now we're talking about the protocol, right? So in both client and server should follow the same.
Oh, okay, fine.
When we are using different target machines, the public IP address and username will be different, right? And process will repeat it same.
Yeah, IP address will be different. Username, if you create a separate different user, you can use a different user ID. That's not an issue.
Okay.
But as per the process, right, like consider I am administrating my DevOps servers. Consider I have my Jenkins server and I have 10 number of Jenkins client machines. So in all the client machines, I can have the same user ID. There's no problem at all. But it will be identified with a unique IP address. If you maintain a different user ID for each and every machine, right, it will be very difficult to manage the infrastructure. Tomorrow, if you want to configure anything, you have to write a script multiple times. Let's say, for example, I just want to copy this file to one target server, right? Tomorrow, consider the same scenario. I want to copy the same file in 100 target servers. Just I'm giving you an example. I want to deploy my file in 100 target servers. So if that is the case, I can simply change my host name. And I can able to pass this as a runtime input also. Because the username should be same. If I change the username in 100 servers, I need to update my username and the host name. Again, it is a override on my server management. So it is always recommended if all the target servers are part of your team, if you are owning it, maintain the same username there. That's not an issue.
Okay.
Is it good to go? All right. So the next thing in the list is about our shell scripting. Right. So we are going to discuss about the shell scripting now. So it is used to perform some process automation. Simple as that. Any process, if you want to automate, we can able to automate through your shell scripting. Let's say, for example, in our very first day of our Linux module, we are talking about the package management, right? Somewhere here, I was talking about those packages here. So as part of the package management, first we need to take care of the prerequisites, install the package, and do some post-installation activities. So these are 3 set of actions I want to perform. If I do it manually, I have to execute all these commands one after the other. Like this, if I want to configure 100 servers, I cannot log into all 100 servers and do all these things manually, right? We can do it manually, but it might lead to some manual errors and it is a time-consuming process. So what I can do, I can able to create a script. So shell scripts are nothing but scripts are the collection of Linux commands. Simple as that. So if you want to execute some series of commands very frequently, you can use a script. For example, consider I have a build server. What is the purpose of build server? What is the purpose of build server? It's an environment, right?
To
What is the
create
purpose of it?
artifact, to
Huh.
create
Create
artifact.
So
artifacts.
yeah, so build server is used to compile the code and then perform unit testing as well as create artifacts. Correct? Say, for example, I have a source code called Java program. Okay, I have prepared a Java program. So once the program is ready, I have to compile my program and I have to perform some sort of unit testing. And once the unit testing is completed, the final output of this will be some executable. It can be a WAR file or it can be a jar file. Depends upon my application's property, I can create the artifacts here. So this is the output. So to perform this task, what are the tools I need to install in the build server? First, I need Git to be installed because Git is used to identify my source code from the source code repository. And then I need to install a build tool called Maven. Right? Maven build tool can be installed there. And once the artifacts are ready, if I want to package that in the form of containers, I need to install Docker. Right? And apart from all these things, if you want to work in Maven, we need JDK. Without installing JDK also, you can directly install Maven, but it install the latest version of JDK. To work in Maven build tool, JDK is a prerequisite. It's Java development kit. So if I want to configure my build server for my Java-based application, all these 4 tools has to be installed on the machine. So if I want to install these tools, what I'll do, I have to manually log into the machine using MobileXterm and run these commands one by one, like apt install git -y. Correct? So all these things we have to manually install. Docker.io means it is a package name for your Ubuntu machine. If you're using just Docker means it might be some other distribution, but for Docker, Ubuntu machine, this is the latest package we can consider. So these are the 4 tools we have to install in our machine. So what I can do means instead of doing it manually, I can create one script file like vi setup mvn build server .sh. So this is a file name, setup maven build server .sh. Once I create this file, I can simply copy these statements there in that file. That's it. And once the file is ready, obviously it will be created in one directory, right? So just go to that path and use a command // followed by that file name. Simple as that. So dot followed by, dot / followed by the file name. This command is used to execute the shell script. Easy. So now what you can understand, shell scripts are the collection of your Linux commands. What all the commands you want to execute manually, just save it as a script file with this extension and execute it using this command. Easy. I'm just giving you some high level information considering a time. If you have any question, please let me know now on this process. You understood, right? What is the purpose of shell scripts now? So main advantage here is the reusability. Use to reuse. Commands. So for example, if I want to configure around 20 Java based build servers, means I can write only one script file and run it in all the 20 servers. It's possible. Just in few seconds, all these 20 servers will be configured in parallel. That is another important thing. Okay. And let's say if I ask you to configure 20 build servers manually, what you'll do? You'll be manually configuring it and the process will be in a sequential manner, right? So you have to first log into one server, configure it, again you log into another server. So you'll be doing it one after the other. So you cannot do the things in parallel if you're doing it with your manual approach. But using your scripts, if you have one script ready, you can simply inject those scripts in all the target server and run it in parallel, which will save a considerable amount of time and accuracy also. It won't lead to any manual errors. So this is the main objective of using your scripting. Any question? Any question here? These are all some basic things, okay? But apart from that, you guys are aware of the difference between programming language and scripting language? Like when you talk about the coding, right? Source code. We'll be writing some programming languages as well as your scripting language, right? So what is the basic difference there? Any guess?
Maybe programming languages are usually wrote to build the application or something to show like UI or something, and scripting languages are for commands.
So in program language, we use syntax mostly, but in shell scripting, use commands.
No, not like that. Maybe the first one is closely relevant. First response. See, let's say I'm an application developer. Okay, so as an application developer, I'll be using some programming languages like Java, .NET, C#, .NET, Python, right? Ruby. So it is something used to develop some business applications. Programming languages are used to develop some business application logics. There also we have syntax.
Means they
But
are creating for that software like this, yes.
yes,
The
business
program.
applications I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
if you're talking about Amazon.com, it is a website, right? So behind that, there are a lot of logics involved. So all those business applications can be developed using programming languages. Any desktop application you can consider. But apart from that, the scripting language are used for some sort of process automation. Like this is something related to the configuration of your target server, like build server. So for all these things, we can use your scripting language. So scripting languages are lightweight when compared to programming languages. So as a DevOps resource, if you are part of DevOps team, right? So you have to focus mainly into the scripting languages, not your program languages. We are not here to develop any business applications. Okay. So if you want, we can take these steps also. A difference between your scripting and programming language. So the scripting languages are used to perform some sort of process automation and validation. It is lightweight when compared to programming languages. And there are some examples like Java scripts, shell scripts, YAML scripts, Groovy, Python scripts. right? So all these things are examples for your scripting languages. And on the other hand, if you see the programming languages, it is promptly meant for developing some business applications, right? And it composed of a huge collection of programming components. Like we have a lot of programming components like classes, objects, right? Functions, methods, file handling, database handling, network handling, right? All those things will be managed with of your program languages. And some examples are like .NET, Java, Python, Ruby, COBOL, C, C++. All these things are examples for your programming languages. You see? So if your intention is to develop some business application, we can use any of these program languages. And for process automation, we use our scripting languages. And the scripting also, right? If depends upon the tool stack. For example, when I talk about the Groovy scripting, that is promptly used while working on Jenkins module. If you want to automate some Jenkins process, you can use the Groovy scripting. If you want to work on your declarative or IAC tools, like you can use your Kubernetes, you can use your Ansible, right? So for such process automation IAC tools, we'll be using YAML scripts. And for Linux-based process automation, we use shell scripts. And for some of the Java-based web applications, we can use JavaScripts. And Python scripts also used for some process automation. I was talking about the AWS CLI, right? So if you want to invoke such things, we can use our Python-based script. Python is everywhere. Correct. So I'll be talking about Groovy scripting in Jenkins module, YAML scripting in Ansible and Kubernetes modules. Shell scripting we are going to discuss in today and tomorrow session. And Java scripting is something used by developers. All right. So as a DevOps resource, if you want to strengthen your profile, if you want to add more value to your resume, it is strongly recommended to have some knowledge on the scripting languages. Correct, because our entire process automation is based upon this scripting language. Just focus on YAML scripting, Python scripting, Groovy, and Shell. That's enough. Don't worry, while we progress, you'll be learning about one by one. Any question here? Hope you're getting some clarity, right? What we are going to implement. So tomorrow, tomorrow we'll start with the actual script. I'll show you how to create a script file, how to execute a script file, and how to learn the concepts in shell scripting. We'll see in tomorrow's session. So if you have any question, please let me know now. Let's stop with this for now. I'm updating your documents. Okay, in Linux. Hope sessions are getting progressive, right, to everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So please make use of it. Yes. So let me commit these changes. And people who just joined, today's session or yesterday's session, I'll ping this link in chat window. Please utilize this link for your class notes and references. Right. And Janaki, right? Could you please have a word with your support team about your actual schedule of your batch and all?
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So hope you have their contact, right? Just
Yeah.
check with them. They'll give you a better clarity on how it is planned and everything. Got it? And I believe you must have already received your course curriculum with you, right? So we are just aligned to that actually. Don't worry on that.
Yes, I've gone through the course curriculum. I've seen at first the DevOps topics are getting covered. And later on
And
that,
then
Azure.
Yes,
Yes.
same. It is same. We are here for that only. Don't worry.
Okay, okay. I'm little bit concerned because the examples and the everything were covered under AWS portal, right? So,
No, AWS, we are using it just for our VM. Okay, we need a lab environment, right, to practice all our DevOps tools.
okay,
So just for that sake, we are using our AWS virtual machines. Apart from that, we are going to cover anything on AWS services here for these modules.
okay, okay. Thank you for addressing.
Right? Fine, guys. So let me open this poll. Yeah, please respond there. I just opened the poll now. And let me copy all the commands required for you. All right. Fine. Any other questions you guys have? Please let me know. Or if you're good, we can close this call. We'll connect tomorrow.
Thank you, Loksan.
Yeah, sure, ma. Thank you. Just open the poll, right? I hope you can see that. All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks for your time. We'll connect tomorrow. Thank you all.